Hello everyone, I hope everyone's doing good today. I just received a Anycubic Kossel from Gearbest. First off, I'd like to thank them for giving me this opportunity to do a build and a review on this Delta printer. In this video, I will be focusing on a detailed build and a first print. Alright, let's go ahead and get everything unboxed. Alright, here it is. Everything was tightly packed and nothing appears to be damaged. So let's go ahead and get started with the build. We're going to start by building the top portion of the printer first. You will need C13, C18, and C11 screws. So I'm going to start by putting C16 and the square nuts in, and then we're just going to slide the rail in like so. And we're going to go and slide it to that second square nut. I found that using needle nose pliers to help align that square nut helps out a lot. And once it's squared, we can then push it all the way at the end. Just like so, and just begin tightening it. I found that the Allen wrench that it came with helps tighten these screws that are on an angle. Alright, so once we have that, we're going to need to get the C13 and C18 bolt and nut. You just put the nut in here, and then the bolt right on top. Now for this, I just hand tightened it because we'll tighten it later when we put the railing in. And we'll do that for all three. Alright, so now that we have all three, we're going to go ahead and align them like this and put each square nut in the rail before we push them all in together. It is a little difficult, but it shouldn't be too bad. Once you have those first three square nuts lined up, go ahead and push them into that second square nut, and use needle nose pliers if you need to align that second square nut, and then just firmly push them together like so. After everything is lined up, we're going to go ahead and use that Allen key that came with the kit and go ahead and tighten each screw. Next, we're going to need C14, CO2, and DO3. And we're going to be putting the pulley assembly together like so. I found that using needle nose pliers for these little parts like this nut here, just put it in like this and tighten. Now just tighten it enough where it is snug but not too tight, so everything is free spinning like this. Next, we're going to build the bottom part of the printer, and we're just going to go ahead and put the C16 and C11 nuts, and we're going to go ahead and put both rails, align them to the first nuts on each rail, and then push them together just as we did on the top one. Push it tightly together and go ahead and tighten the screws. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab our stepper motors, and we're going to go ahead and put the stepper pulley, we'll call it, and we're going to make sure there is a small gap between the stepper motor and pulley. Go ahead and tighten the Allen key. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our stepper motors into the bottom portion. Make sure that little hole is the bottom. That's where all the wires will be going into. So we're going to go ahead and put our stepper motors in and the plug-ins on top. just like so. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the 4 screws for each stepper motor, and we're going to use that Allen key because they designed it where we can get that angle and tighten the stepper motor on there. And it should look like this after you're done. All the stepper motors are tightened on there. Next, we're going to move to the extruder assembly. How I did it was I took off the heater block. You don't have to. You're going to have to take out those wires anyway. You're going to need the A04 metal part that slides in here like so. So you're going to go ahead and put in the extruder just like this, and then you're going to slide in that A04 part. Once that A04 part is in there, you're going to add in the 4 screws that go on top. And they're the CO6 screws. Go ahead and tighten them all 4 down. Now you have to remove the wires. There's a little Allen key on the very bottom. Go ahead and do so using the smallest Allen key that your kit came with. Now we're going to go ahead and put the heater block back on just like this. Now you're going to need the A03 part and the 4 CO5 screws, and just place them in just like this. Alright, tighten them all down, and now we're going to add the fan shroud. Now this is a printed piece, so just kind of be careful with it, don't over tighten it. Next we're going to do the fan assemblies for the cooling and the part cooling fan. So we're going to go ahead and put in the cooling fan, which is CO5 screws, and the sticker is going towards the extruder, and just tighten it down, and don't make it too tight, just snug. Next we're going to go ahead and put the parts fan, and we're going to use the CO8 screws for this. Now we're going to go ahead and put the carbon fiber rods on the extruder assembly. The parts you will need are the CO2 screw and the C19 brass coupling. And they will be, the carbon fiber rod will be placed right in these holes right here on the side. We're going to go ahead and take that brass coupling. The fat end goes towards the actual part. The screw and the rod go in just like this, and here's what it should look like. Go ahead and tighten it down. Don't tighten down too much, otherwise that rod will not move. Now all 6 rods are on there. It should look like this. Next we're going to go ahead and put in the 3 belt tensioners. Now if you have any questions, make sure you just look at the manual. The manual is actually pretty good. We're going to need those 6 brass couplings again, the C19 couplings, then along with the C20 screws. And just like the bottom part, except for that the fat end goes towards the belt tensioner, just like this. I did put this on backwards. The flat end should be towards you, and I don't realize it till the end of the video, but all 3 should be on sort of like this, except reverse. On the top here are the belt leveling screws. Just make them as close as possible. I think it's 8 millimeters. Now we're going to go ahead and put the rails in. We're going to use those square nuts, the C11 square nuts and the C16 screws to do so. And you're just going to slide that rail in until it hits the bottom, and there's a little groove in that plastic that doesn't allow that rail to go any further. And now we're going to go ahead and tighten, and it should look like this. Next we're going to go ahead and put in the pulley system. We're going to need D07, C01, C12, C4 and C14 as the parts. Now I went ahead and separated each parts for each pulley system, and we're going to put in the bearing here, the C12 nut back here, and then we're going to tighten it with the largest Allen wrench that your kit came with. And go ahead and repeat for the other two wheels. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab that C14 nut and the C04 screw. The C14 nut goes in a little slot like this, and then the C04 screw goes in. And we're not going to tighten it because we're going to use this to tighten these pulleys towards on the rails. And repeat for the other three pulleys. Now this is when I realized I put my belt tensioner on the wrong side, but your pulley will go on just like this using the C04 screws. Just tighten it, and then for me I had to turn it around. So this is where I turn it around, and I'm going to go ahead and start the assembly of the pulleys. So basically what we're going to do is line up each wheels on each rail system, like so. And it should just drop right down. Just lower it down in the center, like so. And now we're going to go ahead and put in the end stops. They will go on just like this, and they will go on between 3 centimeters or 30 millimeters off the top, just like so. I used a measuring tool to help me with this, but it's the same C16 and C11 nut and bolt. But go ahead and lower it down to 30 millimeters and tighten all three just like this. Sorry about the lighting, it was hard to get the lighting on top. Next, we're going to grab our end stop and 2 C07 screws, and we're going to put wires facing towards the top, and now the top piece once all 3 end stops are on. Make sure that screw is on top, and we're just going to go ahead and fit it on just like so. It should slide down once everything is aligned. And then those 3 screws on top, we're going to go ahead and just tighten them down slightly. And there is also 3 screws that we put in on the sides of this railing. Now we're going to go ahead and put the wires through the top part where the pulleys are located, like so. Just pull them through. And now we're going to grab the ends of these wires, and we're going to go ahead and push it in the center hole. Push it all the way down until it comes out of the bottom part of the printer. Now this is how it looks like. The wires go into those 2 small holes on the bottom of the printer, and then we're going to go ahead and place our connector. Revert to the manual if you have any questions. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the belt ready. I went ahead and cut it in 3 equal parts, and I put it over that top pulley. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure the belt is within the 2 carbon fiber rods. And I'm going to go ahead and put it through that bottom pulley, like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the belt through just like this, and you're going to have excess belt, but you'll cut that off later. Next, you're going to pull the belt tight, and you're going to loop it around just like that bottom part. You don't have to worry about getting it too tight. You will add a spring to tighten the belt even more, and this is what it looks like. You go ahead and put it through the back and loop it through the bottom like so, and it should look like this. And now the belt is nice and tight. We're going to go ahead and repeat that for the other 3 belts. Next, we're going to go ahead and assemble our extruder system. So we're going to grab our extruder pulley, I guess I'll call it. But we're going to place this pulley 3 millimeters above the bottom. So there should be a 3 millimeter gap. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten the Allen keys. Next, we're going to assemble our arm for the extruder. This is kind of difficult, but using needle nose pliers helps. But you're going to place that C17 screw in, and then the C09 washers in, and then we're going to get that D11 bearing in. The D11 bearing has a groove for the filament. Now we have to get that second C09 washer in between the D11 bearing and the arm. I found that the flathead screwdriver which your printer comes in helps out a lot for this. Go ahead and tighten it down tight, but not too tight, otherwise it will not move. Now we're going to go ahead and finish the assembly, and we're going to need the CO3, A13, A10, CO3, A11, A12, and C4 and CO6 parts for this. For this part, you're going to need the CO3 screws and this arm, and place it on the stepper motor just like this. Note where that stepper motor connector is and just tighten it down like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and grab that CO6 screw, and we're going to place it on the bottom of this arm. And this is actually going to help hold that spring in. So our spring goes in here just like that, and we're going to go ahead and grab our filament arm, I'll call it, and we're going to go ahead and place the CO4 screw in just like this, and it just needs to be finger tight. It doesn't need to be tighter than that. Next, we're going to grab our two more CO3 screws, and we're going to go ahead, or actually one CO3 screw, and then we're going to go ahead and put the spring in the center and tighten it down just like this, and you should be able to squeeze it just like this, and it should function just like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and lay our printer sideways, and this extruder assembly is going to go just below halfway of your printer. So you're going to go ahead and put the square nuts in there, and you're going to go ahead and put the C16 screw and make sure it's just below half and tighten down. It should look like this. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our feeding pipe for the Bowden tube, and just make sure it's just finger tight. It doesn't need to be tighter than that. Alright, to our controller board, I went ahead and added all the heat sinks. Make sure on these heat sinks that there's no metal touching metal, like the soldering parts, but basically we're going to go ahead and put the mount on, and it is the C14 and CO6 screws and 3 plastic couplings, and I went ahead and put it on just like this. I turned it upside down, and then I placed the mount on there and just finger tightened the screws at first and then tighten them once they were all on there. Just like so. Now we're going to go ahead and put our board in the center of our printer. You're going to use those T-nuts that came with your printer, and you're going to just tighten in just like that. I went ahead and started on the wiring for all the extruder motors and end stops. So here we have our X plus end stop, Y plus, and Z plus, positive facing away from us. Next, I went ahead and plugged in the X stepper motor, the Y, and the Z stepper motor. Next, the LCD. Went ahead and used the C14 nuts and the D16 plastic coupling and the CO3 screws. You're going to go ahead and grab your LCD plate and place the LCD over like this. Go ahead and tighten those C14 nuts on here and place the wires between the rails. And using a C11 and C16 screw and nut, we're going to place the LCD on this railing like this. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our temperature sensor and our extruder back together. Using that smallest Allen wrench, we're going to tighten it down. And we're going to go ahead and put the wire loom on. Now, how I have the fans and extruder wired, the fan cooling the extruder goes into fan 0. The part cooling fan goes into fan 2. The temperature sensor goes into T0. The extruder needs to be stripped and wires need to be bare, and you're going to go ahead and place both connectors, doesn't matter where, into this blue block. Doesn't matter the order. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the extruder stepper motor into E0. Alright, so we have our board here. We have our X, our Y, and our Z stepper motor. X, Y, and Z, and our extruder. We have our end stops here, our fans, and our extruder heating block there. Our fan 2 for part cooling. And our temperature setting along with our LCD extension 1 and extension 2. And this is what the wiring should look like. Next, we're going to go ahead and get the bed mount ready. We're going to place 6 of these, and just like this. And they're going to use the C11 and C16 screws and nut. Now that we have all of our bed mounts in, we're going to go ahead and get our bed ready. You only have one shot at this, and you're going to go ahead and remove the sticker part, and you're going to go ahead and set it on there and make sure that there is no bubbles. Now we're going to go ahead and place our bed on top here. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get ready for our first test print. We're going to go ahead and feed the filament in. I did upload the newest version of Marlin in and use the video that I'll leave down in the link below to do the bed leveling. Alright, all done. I did notice with no heated bed, it did stick on the bed very well, and my level was good. First impressions was it was okay, but great for the first print. There are these blobs right here, but that was from me printing from the computer, and I was doing stuff on the computer, and every time I was doing something it would pause. But there are some layer separations, but all in all, I'm pretty impressed with the first print that this came out with, especially with no heated bed. Alright guys, that concludes my video. I hope this helps some of you that are putting this printer together or thinking about getting this printer. This took me 7 hours to build, probably a little bit shorter if I wasn't recording, but all in all, very satisfying. I will be doing a review on this printer, and it'll be a 100% stock review, no upgrades, and I'll at least have 60 hours of the print. So stay tuned, please like, share, and thank you for watching.